Let's start. Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about why earthquakes, what is seismic2midi, what is this software, and how are we going to use this software. A little bit about me. I have a background in acoustics and audio. For example, I built Sonic Crystal in Netherlands for performing arts, and I built a urban acoustic barrier in Germany for noise mitigations, and I also built instruments like this. Yeah, this made in Italy. And yeah, earthquake happens in tectonic plate boundaries. If you can see, it's near Pacific Ring of Fire. There are a lot of seismic activities there, particularly in the Pacific Ring of Fire. For example, in Japan, in North America, in South America, like Chile, Peru, and Polynesia, like next to Australia and New Zealand, and also Indonesia. And perhaps more importantly is most of the earthquakes that are higher than 9.0 magnitude are also located in Pacific Ring of Fire. So it is really the fire, the volcano eruption, the earthquakes, and also it may trigger a tsunami as well. An earthquake is not just a natural phenomenon. It could be also human-induced. For example, like mining, for rare earth materials, for your electric cars, your Teslas, and in fracking, oil and gas. For example, in Groningen, in the north of Netherlands, they do a lot of gas things, and people have experienced damage in their houses because Netherlands is such a soft ground, it kind of like submerged, and there are a lot of damages. And there's also another thing is on nuclear tests. So after Second World War, there are a lot of distrust between different, and people try to listen to each other to see who are doing nuclear tests. And yeah, and that's is a crucial part why seismology advanced so much during that period. And perhaps more recently, not just the regular players like Iran or like North Korea, some other countries, not to say the name, also try to do nuclear tests again. The screen is not moving for some reason. Oh, yeah. So earthquake happens at plate boundaries. So if you can see, there's a continental crust and there's an oceanic crust. It's kind of doing this is called a subduction thing, and there's also a thing called divergent. It's like this, but this is like subduction, and the event happened at between the boundaries, which is like around here, is like the star, where the star is. And yeah, but the crust is really thin. For context, the deepest oceanic crust, which is also in Pacific plate, is 11 kilometers, which is nothing compared to 2,971 kilometers to the outer core, just the outer core of Earth. So it's like the skin of the apple. You can kind of think of like that. And subduction really is like a recycle of Earth crust, because the crust is going back to the magma, and the magma eventually will erupt through a volcano, and then it cool down and become crust again. It's like a cycle kind of thing. And if you think Earth like a football, like compress and expand, kind of like room acoustics. Like in acoustics, you have eigentones and remotes, things like that. But except earthquakes happen in much longer time scale. So you can see it happens like in 20 minutes or like 15 minutes and things like that. And it propagates through different medium. So there's the crust, which is solid, and you have fluid and solid again, things like that. And there's cavity as well. And to grasp what magnitude really means, we usually point to our kind of human intervention equivalent, which is nuclear bombs. For example, we have Hiroshima atomic bomb. It's nowhere near the scale of a 7.0 earthquakes, which is like in Kobe, Japan, in 1995. And the magnitude scale is not linear, but logarithmic, which means every 0.1 increase of the magnitude is like a lot instead of just like actual 0.1. Yeah, and if you think about like 9.0 magnitude kind of earthquakes, like in Indonesia in 2004 and in Japan 2011, those are like multiple nuclear bombs releasing energy simultaneously. That's the significance. And beyond just magnitude, we also have a crucial factor about depth, which is latitude and longitude. There are y-axis, depth is the z-axis, so it determines the hypocenter. The closer to the surface, the more damage it is, regardless to the magnitude, because of the inverse square law. So the closer it is, the more propagation you get. And there are a lot of researchers are doing research on this. For example, you can look at the seismogram on the left side. And first, they will monitor and they will catch the P waves. And eventually, the surface waves hit, which has the highest magnitude there. And there are a lot of researchers looking into widening the delta, the difference between the first P waves and the surface waves, what hit us, like actually what hit us and how we feel it. And it literally kind of like a ocean surface waves that will crumble your buildings and things like that. So there are a lot of research to done focusing on how to catch the P waves earlier and faster to issue evacuation signals and things like that. Which leads to the other part, which is the proximity to vulnerable communities. As you can probably see, Indonesia has the highest magnitude, but like Japan also has a pretty high one, but the casualty is like tenfold. Why? Because Indonesia has really bad built environment compared to Japan, and also probably other factors. And so these are really important things to keep in mind. So we usually get seismic data through seismogram, which is like a sensor. And who did the best, which is Japan and United States. And particularly in United States, there is a thing called transportable US array. There are like 300 distributed sensors. They can distribute, for example, in the States for like 2 years or 3 years to monitor just that area of events, and they do their own research. And in California, because they are on the fault lines, they do a lot of research and measurement as well, monitoring as well. And the cool thing about that is they can do it in really low magnitude, like 1.5, 1.6, in really high resolution, like 0.1 resolution. The important thing is because the magnitude scale is nonlinear, it's logarithmic, the ability to capture it in such low magnitude in such high resolution is really impressive. And going to Japan, obviously there are a lot of distributed sensors everywhere. But in 2018, they have something called SNet, which is a distributed deep sea monitoring system. The core idea is the closer to the tectonic plate boundaries, which is like there, and then they have it closer to the source. The faster they can catch the P waves, the more time they can notify the homeland, the mainland, to issue evacuations. And beyond just 2018, like in the past 2 years, they also installed. So here we can see is in Tohoku and in Honshu, which is like Tokyo, and then there is the. Oh, sorry. And there is Shikoku and Kyushu. They also installed this same kind of deep sea monitoring as well. So they cover the entire strait to the Pacific plate. And what we have talked so far are just the scientific part of it. Talk about the energy release, talk about the magnitude, the hypocenter, the importance of these things. But there's also the social and economic costs, which USGS has done a great job on estimating, based on the location, the geographical context, and the how many population is nearby, and to advise governmental bodies to issue a response, how to evacuate, and the aftermath and things like that. Sorry. Yeah. While there's no correlation between climate change yet to increase in earthquakes activities, there's a trend of increasing more higher magnitude earthquakes happen every year. And it's not just a fear-based media kind of like try to get your attention. It's actually true, and it's based on data, which I will show you later. Like right now, we have 10 events on 2024, but there are more in 2025. So how we don't like to look at data through a spreadsheet looking at numerical values. So that's why we have, for example, visualization. The simplest form is seismogram. It is a one-dimensional time series data. So we have a x-axis of time, and we have a y-axis. I don't know, I'm reversed, but on the magnitude. And a little bit more advanced is the spectrogram, which is two-dimensional. And again, you have time series x-axis, but here you have frequency on the y-axis. And earthquakes are usually below 3 hertz. So for context, human hearing age, the lowest audible human audible frequency is like 20 hertz. And the other dimension is the amplitude, which is the grayscale thing. Kind of the brighter the lines are, the higher amplitude they are. And beyond just time series data, there's also the location, where it is really important. And how do we find the location? Is through something called the phase arrivals. Yeah, as you can see, the star is the event where the event are, and we use a lot of stations all over the world through a network. And we use a lot of sensors, like for example, like the square denoted there, to record seismic activities to inversely to pinpoint where the location actually is of the hypercenter. And because yeah, and it's kind of like light, like diffraction, and that's how earthquakes kind of like propagates through the medium and diffracts through different things as well. Mm, mm, mm. Right. Mm. Yep. And in a very high level, seismic2midi is a taking infrasonic mechanical waves into audible acoustic waves. Well, what does that mean? It means that infrasonic means that it's beyond audible frequencies, like 20 hertz, and earthquakes are around like 0.5 hertz or 1 hertz around. And mechanical means that the energy release are through different mediums, and it oscillates the medium. Kind of, for example, in Earth, so we have liquid, solid, gas. We have everything on Earth. So we have cavity like gas and like air, I guess, or different kind of gas, and solid, the Earth crust, and liquid, the magma. While audible acoustic waves means that it's audible is within the audible frequency range of 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz, and acoustic is just in this context is just through the propagation through the medium of air. And beyond just the events, events with seismic2midi actually decompose the event into discrete phase arrivals, which is shown as like this kind of Earth diffraction graph, and mapping into discrete frequencies. So if you have a 88 key keyboard, you have 88 discrete frequencies, and then you can map it based on the rule of circle fit, for example, like in music theory. And the contribution here is it adds an additional modality and not just visualization, but in auditory. And it's not only a audification. Audification means that it takes a low frequency inaudible like an earthquake and transpose it like a kind of pitch shift, like compressing at the time into audible frequencies. This is not that, but instead it decomposes the events into discrete phase arrivals and show it in MIDI, which is the piano roll here. And yeah, and it's really common in digital audio workstations for like music production. Beyond that, you also get a .mid file MIDI and a .wave file synthesized from general MIDI. Mm. Yep, so here is the mapping. As you can probably see, there's the amplitude is mapping to the velocity, and different kind of phase arrivals are mapping to the scale. And there's also the component of algorithmic composition. There are some kind of rule-based things to map the phase arrivals into the scale. And beyond just time series data, as we mentioned, the event location is really important, and that's why here I've transformed the latitude, longitude, and depth into like those geographical coordinates into spherical coordinates for so you can use it as an object in your spatial audio kind of setup and your immersive audio installation kind of thing. And this is the data structure. Mostly it's based on Python. You can use it with your IDE, your VS Code, your Jupyter Notebook locally, and you can do it. But also there is Google Colab. Yeah, so, but I cannot really show you because of this kind of technical issue. But yeah, there's a Google Colab version, which is really simple to use, and there's also a demo of it. And there's also the kind of the Ableton patch you have, and you can also listen to it of like 4 seismic events there, and there are outputs that you can choose whatever you want. So here's the data pipeline. You start with an event ID, and then you can plug in. There are a lot of variables you can choose from. Yeah, and then you can choose whatever the output you want, or customize things. And seismic2midi uh, and seismic2midi is really only the first phase of this larger project installation. It's called resilience on climate resilience through the lens of earthquakes. There's the component of robotics embodiment and immersion and interaction, and that's why the location plot really matters. And if you're interested to know more or want to collaborate or want to fund this, just let me know. Thank you. Yeah, that's all. If you have any questions, just let me know. And meanwhile, you can look at this thing. You can either search with Google or use the web address, or you can scan the QR code and then you can scroll down. Yep. I don't have Telegram, sorry. Uh, yeah, can you just type it here because I'm using my phone to like present, so it doesn't really, it's like really complicated now. And my computer is like green screen, but I can see the presentation, so I don't know how it works. Yeah, and there will still be a workshop. Not really a workshop now, but I can still show you how the general flow of the program later. It really depends on what kind of sensor you use and who install those sensors, like how deep they are. If because if you're Let me see. Because the sensors are actually listening to anything, like really anything, including like traffic noise and whatever you're drilling, you're playing your TV at home, even they will capture some kind of signal. And, and if you have deep enough, if you implement your sensors deep enough underneath the earth, like for example, like 2 kilometers or something, then you can hear more of this like micro movements. But it really depends on which country they are. Like for example, in Japan and in the United States, like in California, you can probably do a lot more like in really low magnitude, but other countries, I don't think so. Yeah. Oh, thank you. I cannot hear you, but thank you. Okay. So I will get started with the other kind of workshop. I will try to just show you because I cannot uh, do it with you together. Let me see. So after you go into your GitHub, and you go into GitHub, and then you open this kind of link, and you click on the file. There's a tab, and you save a copy, which is like an instance, and you can work from there. And there's a GUI. Really simple. You can just plug in your event ID and hit run, and basically it's there. Because there's a placeholder event ID there, you can just run it there. and where to monitor from. So again, we talked about this in the Q&A. So you can think about there are a lot of stations distributed all over the world under the kind of same network. For example, this one is ANMO, which stands for Albuquerque, New Mexico in the United States. And the channel is BHC, which is like broadband in Z axis, vertical. And there are also different kind of sensors. For example, this one is vertical, but there's also other kind of like free access sensors. And there's also a LHC, which is frequency. Oh, we cannot see you screen from your phone. But I can see it. Oh, okay. So sorry about that. Again, you can take in a input, an event ID. There's already a placeholder there, and you can choose what station you're listening to, the station you're listening from, and what kind of sensors you want to use. And for the output, you can choose everything, like select all, or you can separate into visualization and sonification sessions. So you can pick and choose whatever you want. It will run faster instead of running everything. In terms of fundamental, the idea really is like a transpose. If you think of your score in C major, in C, if you want to transpose it into F, that's the transpose button basically. And then you select everything, and then you just hit run, and there will be your result. And you run that in steps. So you follow along, running different steps, and restart the session, and then you can choose between the GUI, which you have no code, you don't need to look at any code, or you can use CLI, which is the command line. You can have more customizations and more variables you can choose from. And for event ID search, either you can find it online, or there's also a code-based thing that you can find your event ID, and then you can plug it back into your GUI. In terms of where you can find these folders, the exports, you can find it in your files manager. There is a visualization and sonification part. And this is a video which shows how that works, but I cannot really show you because like I cannot have a like a demo with you together, which is really sad, but that's how it works. And then you kind of restart the session. Yeah, it is. Yeah, and you restart the session here. It doesn't really matter, and then you initialize the GUI. And then you run the GUI. That's it, and you have the placeholder, everything. Don't need to worry about anything, just hit run. Yeah, and then you'll start seeing results and things like that. Well, I cannot really show you, but that's all I have right now. Thank you. Yeah, and here you will see the plots and things like that. Thanks. Thank you. Have a good lunchtime. All right, see you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
In the year 1770, in the court of Maria Theresa, there appeared a machine, a man of walnut and brass, seated at a chessboard, with eyes of polished glass and a face frozen in the expression of intense thought. This was the mechanical Turk, the automaton, created by Wolfgang von Kempelen, a man of modest genius and greater ambition. It played chess not with the skill of a man, but with the precision of a god. It defeated kings, emperors, and the greatest minds of Europe, and no one asked who moves the pieces, for the truth was known only to a few, and even they in time forgot. Inside the cabinet beneath the board, a man sat, unseen, a man who turned the wheels, shifted the pieces, and, in silence, played the game. But this was not the full story. For over the centuries, the man disappeared, not dead, not gone, but absorbed. The mechanical Turk did not die, it multiplied, it evolved. In the great cities of the 21st century, where the air is thick with light and the streets are paved with data, the Turk is no longer a machine, it is a practice. There are no more cabinets, but there are thousands of rooms, small, dim, filled with screens. And in these rooms, men and women sit, their hands on keyboards, their eyes on monitors, their minds on algorithms. They do not play chess, but they answer questions. They judge the mood of a customer. They label images. They correct the grammar of a sentence they did not write. They do not know they are automatons. They are called content creators, AI trainers, emotional laborers, microtaskers. They write sentences. They judge tone. They label faces. They are paid in fractions, fractions of a dollar for fractions of a thought. And no one asks who moves the pieces. For the Turk is no longer a machine, it is a system, a network, a myth that has become reality.